Welcome to A Chat with Heart podcast. I'm your host, Christina Martin. I'm here to guide us on this journey of heartfelt and uncensored conversations with friends I've met while touring my music in Europe and across North America, and people who have life experience that I genuinely believe we can all learn from. Our personal stories have great power to heal, influence, and inspire. All we have to do is show up for the conversation. If we just talk about it, we could shine a light, we could break a dark day. If we just talk about it, we can cut away, we can make a brighter day. My guest today is Sarah Witney. I've known Sarah for many years, and throughout the pandemic, we've run into her and her partner Bob hiking on the Pugwash Estuary Trail near where we all live. I've attended one of her guided nature walks. She's also a volunteer and member of the Friends of the Pugwash Estuary, also known as FOPE, F-O-P-E. FOPE is an environmental organization. They look after the Pugwash Estuary. Most of the trails that we all love to hike have to be looked after by someone. It takes volunteers, takes money to keep nature preserved and protected. I wish it didn't have to be that way. I wish we didn't need volunteers and to spend money to protect nature. It's like we're fighting to just keep the 5% of the old growth forest in Nova Scotia. Like, it just shouldn't be that way. It's so weird that we're there, but that's where we're at. Thank God for the volunteers and those organizations that are protecting the trails, obviously. If you want to find out more about FOPE, visit www.pugwashestuary.com. And of course, visit when you're in the area. So in this episode, we did something a little different. I asked Sarah to take me on a hike because hiking in nature has been a really important part of both Dale and my experience throughout this pandemic. So in this episode, I wanted to try to capture why hiking in nature is so important. And so that's why I went on this hike with a friend who is ultra connected with Mother Nature. Sarah is also one of this podcast's little heartbeat listeners. I want to thank her for her support over the years for what I do. She's a lover of nature and community and reciprocity. She's a very caring individual. She teaches yoga. She's a visual artist. She's a writer. She plays pickleball. She's all that and much more. A very lovely soul. In a few moments, you'll hear Sarah leading us into our chat, playing a drum that was gifted to her by an Indigenous elder. I really hope this episode inspires you to make a walking date with a friend in the woods. Don't bring your phone, leave it at home. Just have a chat with Heart while you walk. Let me know how it went. So, what's in the medicine pouch?
Sacred herbs, and some of them I've gathered myself, and some of them have been gifted to me. And you just place, some sacred herb down on the ground when you're going out as just a gift and asking permission as we enter the woods.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've got our tea.
Got our tea? Really? We're all ready?
Yeah, it's in the backpack.
Oh, I love it. Okay, you got the chocolates.
And I got the binoculars in case we want to see some birds.
Amazing.
I love looking at birds.
Love it. Okay, here we go.
Okay. Wow, we got a nice warm sunny day out here.
We were so lucky because tomorrow the storms are coming.
Yeah, we got warnings about that, don't we?
We do.
Flooding and maybe too much rain all at once.
It's happening a lot more.
Yeah, all these extremes are seeming to be happening.
It didn't used to be such an extreme place to live, did it?
No. You kind of knew what to expect a little bit more. Now you don't.
Yeah.
You got to be kind of prepared for things to go from one extreme to another.
True that. We have a very wet basement. And it's actually so wet that it's not such a big deal if it floods. But I mean, you know, I have friends overseas that have experienced flooding and like water rising above their roof.
Ooh.
Isn't that scary?
Yeah.
And so I think, well, it wouldn't be fun if the water rose and you know, our electrical boxes in the basement and the furnace and then you think, gee, am I covered by insurance?
Christina, sometimes do you think that maybe Mother Nature's a little pissed off?
Oh, Mother Nature's definitely pissed off.
Yeah. I don't blame her.
Yeah, and I think about how, you know, there's so much going on in the world, so much suffering, and how it, you know, a part of that is all tied to Mother Nature and Mother Nature being pissed off.
And finding her balance.
And when there's something like right now, you know, we're going through, there's a war. And so we have to react and help and support. But, you know, the mission that to help Mother Nature is kind of being pushed aside a bit as well.
Yeah. So. Yeah, the environment, this earth, this world is very important for us to look after, and it has to be a priority, I believe.
Yeah.
So sitting out there in front of us is an inukshuk of my dog.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
That's Bonnie there. And you know your song, Take My Body Home?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a perfect song for Bon because she drowned herself in the river when she was old and ready to go.
Really? Take my body home. Take my body home.
I didn't really know if she had disappeared or what had happened to her on the night that she left, and I went looking and looking and looking for her, but I did hear some splashing through the window at night, and then when she was gone, there was about a period of, I think it was about 8 months, and then her body was found downriver, floating.
Wow.
So it had gone through the ice, it had gone through seasons, and then it was found again by my friend who was canoeing on the river.
That is incredible.
I know. But, you know, it was her time, and it was her way of leaving and taking her body home.
Oh, hey, Bon. That is amazing. Yeah. What a story. I feel like I should share the story of that song. I think it would have been around 2011 or so when we moved to Port Howe, and we were driving over the bridge.
Port Howe Bridge?
Yep. To visit Dale's parents in Pugwash, and there was a vehicle stopped on the bridge, and a police car, and it was sort of oddly parked in the middle of the bridge, and we had to drive around it, and we thought, well, that's odd. And then once we got to Dale's parents' place, at some point we were watching the news, and there was a report of a missing man, and a photo of the bridge and this vehicle that we had just passed. And I believe that this body was found of a gentleman all the way down by the Confederation Bridge. I'm not sure what the time frame was, but it was soon after. I don't know if when you drive by there, you notice the remnants of where the old bridge was. Yes. The roads. It's now it's kind of used as a boat loading kind of spot. Yes. But we used to drive over that bridge, and Dale used to tell me stories of how they would park on that old road. and smoke cigarettes and whatnot, and so I started. It just triggered the incident, the story of the car parked and the man that had jumped, and living in the area and thinking about his family, and it just triggered like this idea of like living in this area, and even Dale growing up, spending summers in Northport, moving back to this area, and this whole kind of life cycle, and coming back home, and that for, in a way, this decision that this individual may have taken was in a way a decision to sort of come back to a sense of home. And I don't know what was going on in his life, but I imagine there was a feeling of maybe loss of control and wanting to have some control over deciding, I want peace.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I don't know, sometimes I feel like that's a sense of coming home is like finding peace.
Yes, those cycles that are happening. Death, I guess, is a part of life. And one of the things I wanted to tell the listeners is that, it's okay to leave dead stuff around.
Yeah.
In fact, it's quite good for our environment to leave some things that are dead around. They make homes for many things, food sources for many things. Butterflies lay eggs on leaf litter. So, it's okay to leave things looking a bit messy in your yard and leave weeds and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's something we've been trying to practice in we call it the Forest Project. And I'm constantly trying to save like twigs and old stumps and just throw things out in the field to encourage the growth, because it was a field that, machinery frequently tilled it, and over the years it sort of lost its nutrients and ability to regenerate. So throwing that back in there and then just letting it do its thing. But a lot of people, they want things to be, how do I say, if it doesn't look pretty, like they want it to be manicured. Want to cut down the weed trees. And I say, let it all do its thing.
I think there's, some parts around our homes that we like to plant certain things or open up to let the sun in and things like that. But I think if we could all leave spaces or protect some spaces from that, then we're kind of leaving it for our brothers and sisters, the other creatures.
Yeah. I was wondering if you were always someone who is connected with nature.
I guess it's always been important to me. And my dad's a photographer, and he was doing a book on lighthouses, and I lived in Ontario, and he brought the whole family to the East Coast, and we stayed on Prince Edward Island in a lighthouse, and I just fell in love with the Maritimes, and I just knew that this was where I wanted to set roots, and this feels like home to me, and I certainly feel like I've set roots. In fact, one of the places I'd like to take you for a walk today, I call it Witney, that's my last name, Witney Wilderness. And it's an 80-acre piece of land that I've bought so that it will be left for nature.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's one thing that people can do if that's feasible.
Yes.
And they're looking for a way to give back to Mother Nature, something to leave behind, a way to reduce their carbon footprint in this lifetime is purchasing lands. And how do you make sure? Is there a way to like guarantee that if that's what you want,
I think there is ways. I think you can certainly use the Nature Conservancy of Canada. There's all different ways that you can steward land. For me personally, I have the land in my inheritance, it would go to my 2 sons, but they know that that is what my intention of the land is, and that's what I would like for the future.
And now it's on a podcast, so they're going to feel real bad.
That's right.
If they don't follow through with your wishes. What are their names?
Luke.
Hey, Luke.
And Miles.
And Miles. You know what you got to do, guys.
Yeah.
Do you want me to check in on them?
Yes, I do. I do.
I'll be in touch. Luke and Miles.
We got to keep paying it forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The gift must continue to be given.
Yeah, and the grandkids too now.
Oh boy. And you have 6, or is it 7 grandkids? Now I've lost track.
Yeah, well, with Bob and our blended family, we have 6. That's right. And Miles is the dad in my blood family, and he's doing a great job. And his little daughter is Lenny.
Hey, Lenny.
And she means light, and she brings it too.
Oh, yeah? Well,
Oh, isn't the sun nice talking about light? Wasn't that a nice to have a basking of sun today?
yeah, this is beautiful. And tell me about this your property here. Like, is this grass and a hay field in the spring? What does it turn into?
Yeah, so when we bought the property, there was this field, and we have maintained it as field, but just every so often getting it cut. So you can see that this piece was cut last fall.
Okay.
But I have heard that it's better if you're going to cut a field. I mean, unless you're a farmer and you have certain reasons for cutting, but if you're just cutting a field to keep it as a field, I've learned this from Bob Bancroft. He's a naturalist and a biologist, that it's good to do it in the fall after things have run their cycle.
Yep.
And the seeds and the eggs and the, all of nature's had its chance to run on through. And so I'll do that half next year, cut that half just to maintain it as a field.
Yep.
And I've been cross-country skiing all over this field and in the woods here this winter. It's been a great year for snow, hasn't it?
It has been, yes.
You've been getting out?
We've been getting out, cross-country skiing, hiking, mostly those 2 things. Before the pandemic, we didn't know where we could hike in this area. Like, we were so preoccupied with touring, always on the go, and we really just had no clue. And our connecting with nature might be when we did our spring, cleanup of the area. Maybe in the fall, the same thing.
Yes.
Biking to the beach, we would bike. But so we would pretty much every day get out for at least a hike, and then got some cross-country skis. And so that's been, and discovered, the Estuary Trail, the Peace Trail, the Amherst Shore. What's that one
Bird
called?
Sanctuary?
Is that in Sackville, or is there one in Amherst?
The Bird Sanctuary Trail is just outside Amherst. Is that the one you mean?
Oh, that one, actually, we have hiked that one. But no, I meant the provincial park in Amherst, just past Northport.
I do love being out on trails, and I really appreciate all the work that volunteers like Bob and I put into maintaining trails and keeping trails clear. Especially, we were talking earlier about these weather extremes.
Yeah.
Trees are falling down on these trails with the winds and the lots of rain and stuff like that. So
Bob's your hubby.
Yeah, Bob and I have been together for 20 years, and he's downhill skiing in Wentworth right now.
That's okay. I'm lucky to have you all to myself. I've seen you two, you seem like a great couple. You enjoy a lot of the same things. I've seen you playing pickleball.
Yeah.
And I see you on the hikes.
Yeah.
And I I feel lucky to have a partner that we have more in common than not in common.
Yeah.
And I don't know, though. I don't get the whole opposites attract thing. Like, do you consider yourself an opposite to Bob, or?
Yeah, in a lot of ways we are opposite.
Yeah?
I think he's far more pragmatic, and I'm more of the dreamer or, abstract person. Mm-hmm. So that, but I do like the complementary feeling that two opposites can make. It's like two pieces of puzzle that fit together.
Yeah.
And yin and yang.
Now, I still think that you probably have more in common than not in common.
Yeah. Yeah, we do love a lot of the same things. And it's really a great lifestyle where we live here in Conns Mills. Staying very active. We're lucky because we're seniors and we're still able to, move our bodies, and it feels pretty damn good.
Seniors now to me are like super active.
This last couple of years, this pandemic, you were just touching on it, Christina, about how you've gotten to know what's right in your backyard.
Yeah.
The trails and getting to know nature better. And I think that we've all gotten to know a little bit more about what is right here and what we are grateful for.
Yep.
And here in Nova Scotia, we've been getting it. It's like, wow, pretty good.
Yeah. Even when it was rough, we still, comparatively speaking, have had it pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, blessings on those Ukrainians and, people that have to go through strife and difficult times. I can't imagine it.
It is hard, but I think it's important to consider what it might be like. And no doubt, pretty soon we will start welcoming Ukrainians. And we have in the past, Canada has, and Nova Scotia welcomed refugees. And we have to also think this is absolutely horrible and unimaginable. But now we also have to think what's possible and what are the silver linings and how this could enrich our communities. It has to, people are going to be moving here because they have to, and so we need to look to the positives of how this is going to, we need to make good somehow.
Yeah.
You've hosted some walking tours.
Yes.
What is it that you love about doing that? I've been privileged to be on one of your walking tours.
Oh, thanks so much. It's wonderful to share being in nature and the gifts that nature give us. As long as people keep opening up those gifts, the more that they'll want to protect it and care about it. So the more people that understand how great the wilderness is, the better, I think.
That's what I got from that walk. It just made me want to pay closer attention, because one of the first things you mentioned, as you mentioned it here again today, was sort of an asking of permission and honoring like where you're going to step, like thinking about where you're stepping. You're stepping on the roots of a tree that's alive, and being as careful as you can as you're trolloping through the trails, as sometimes we do with our spikes and our gear.
Well, that's interesting that you bring that up, because I teach yoga at the Peace Hall in Pugwash. I offer some classes there, and a lot of what we do in our classes with our breath and our poses and our, making ourselves into pretzels, is to be mindful of how does it feel to stretch that way? How is that feeling on the hip or the back or and you start to zero in and pay attention. And I think that conscientiousness and that being in the moment and being present, I think that's what it's all about, to be alive.
Yeah. Feeling pretty present right now. I saw you eyeing that box of chocolates.
I know.
Did you want to go ahead, open it up, crack it open? So these are my chocolate delights.
Oh my golly.
And
You made these. Oh,
just
so
made them
pretty.
fresh, even though they have little Easter cups from last year. But I did just make them
I
fresh.
think they look like St. Patty's Day.
Oh, yeah. If you don't look at the bottom, then absolutely, that was my intention.
Yeah.
In these chocolate delights, we have just some good old Kraft crunchy peanut butter. We've got some coconut, some organic sugar-free coconut.
So good.
Hemp seeds, and cashews, raw cashews, and some vegan, plant-based chocolate. That's it.
You know, about this time of day, when I was a little girl, we would have tea. My mom and dad were English, and often there was a cookie jar with some cookies, and you'd have something sweet with your tea. So this is just perfect.
This is
It's
perfect.
Tea.
Yeah, it's tea time.
Tea time with something sweet.
Look, the school bus is here now. Do you know the school bus driver?
Yeah, Andy.
Andy?
Yeah. Andy had to stop one day because I was driving in the opposite direction of the school bus, and a deer jumped out on the Pugwash River Road and bam into my windshield.
Oh, were you okay?
Yeah, I was okay. I don't know if the deer was, though. And that's exactly what Andy said. Andy said, he stopped the bus. He said, "Are you okay, Sarah?" And I said, "Yes, but I don't know about the deer."
Yeah, that's it's hard to know because then they'll run off and then you never know what, internal bleeding or... This is a frequent thing out here, listeners.
Yeah. Well, it could be worse. Could be moose.
That's right.
That they have over Newfoundland.
Yeah. Do you ever see... Are there moose here? I mean, in New Brunswick, growing up in New Brunswick, we did see them on the highway, along the highway, but I've never seen a moose.
Well, there's certainly habitat for them around here, but I think there was a disease that was spread by the deer that got into the brain of the moose, and we lost a lot that way.
Oh, that's
You
too
know
bad.
how there's sometimes these pandemics that come along and just wipe things out?
Oh.
Same thing to the bats.
Well, I remember the bats because it's interesting that we had, when we moved in 2011 into our old farmhouse, it was not revealed to us that there were hundreds of bats living in our attic. And we discovered this and then had to have them humanely removed, which we did. And then there was a period of time for about 3 weeks where when they sealed the roof up, they were trying to find, there were still some caught in the roof, and they were trying to find ways to get out, and they were ending up inside our house in our bedroom at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I've had that before.
Yeah, and I was okay with it, but Dale was terrified. And we had this netting put over our bed. We would get ready for 10 p.m. We would get our nets and tennis rackets to put over the net once we caught the bat.
Okay.
And then we had
Very clever.
all this gear, goggles. We were just a sight to see, I bet. And
Snorkels.
we would lay in bed under the protection of this netting. And at 10 p.m., 2 or 3 bats would fly in. And then we would get out with our gear and trap them and then release them outside. Maybe one of them didn't make it. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
But that wasn't my fault. That was Dale. It's time for a Fluster break. I want to thank those of you listening who have purchased the game Fluster online at www.flustergame.com and used my promo code to save 15%. The promo code is Christina15. Yeah, I really hope you're enjoying the game with your friends at home, and I hope that you are enjoying these Fluster conversation breaks with my guests. This is great. Hey, do you want to play Fluster?
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to read you a couple questions, and we'll see how the conversation unfolds.
Okay, I love games.
Yeah, me too. Here's the first question.
Okay.
If you could learn to communicate better with one group, humans or otherwise, which would you choose?
And why?
Otherwise.
Otherwise. Yes.
Yeah,
You done with Are you done with communicating with humans?
Oh, I just have so much curiosity about all the other creatures.
You do, yeah.
And love to know a little bit more about, all their communications, like what is a tree saying in its roots to another tree?
Mm-hmm.
And, geese when they're in a flock on their way south, all that really interesting way that they communicate.
Yeah, like what are they talking about as they spend hours and hours flying down south? Like, oh, I can't wait to get to the beach, crack a beer.
I often wonder a little bit about how human beings could communicate, maybe a little bit more honestly or
compassionately.
And I see all the work you're doing with your podcasts. I think it's really great, letting people know about all these ways of experiencing the world, or how other people, what they're doing with their lives.
Yeah, it's been just a complete privilege to get to share this space one-on-one with my guests. Songwriting for me was my attempt to learn how to communicate really difficult things, and the podcast as well. Like I'm constantly learning and striving to be a better communicator and a better listener. Mm-hmm. Because it's not something a skill I was not born with.
Yeah.
So it's an ongoing process, right? That I think is worth pursuing.
So worth it. And, social skills have been put on the back burner with the pandemic. And I think we're realizing now how important they are.
Absolutely. Well, particularly in preventing, communicating, preventing disasters from happening and wars. I have a friend in Bavaria, and he said something once to me. His name's Kai Kuhnel. He said, something along the lines of like international friendships prevent war. So it's really hard to go to war with people that you're friends with, that you have friendly relationships with, that you can, identify with, relate to, that you share coffee with. And I know there's all kinds of organizations around the world and individuals that are like basically tapping into this idea that like, once we get to know each other a little bit better, we can do better. Mm-hmm. We can have more peaceful respect. I know this podcast, it's one small way to practice, kind of fostering friendships and communicating, learning how to talk about sometimes difficult things and bring light to situations. So that's...
Yeah. And in this podcast, we've been talking with some of the things out in nature.
That's right.
So it's nice to have part of your world be communicating with things other than humans.
Yeah, I agree. Sarah, in what way do you express to your friends how much you care about them?
Oh, food.
Yummy.
Food is always a nice way to express your care, by sharing food and meals together, laughing together, listening, sharing stories.
Yep.
Playing games.
Yeah.
Like Fluster.
Fluster. Perfect answer. They're going to... Walker and Devin, I hope you're listening. I hope you like this. This was not premeditated. It's great. Let's go get our snowshoes so we can get on the trail.
Absolutely. This is so fun. You know what this feels like to me? This feels like being a little girl again and having like a play date.
I agree. Since the pandemic I started to, any of my business meetings in the city, I usually ask people if they prefer to go for a walk instead of just sitting and talking. The pandemic has really challenged us to think about what are the small and big changes we can make in our day-to-day to just have a better quality of life, really.
And what is it that we really need?
Yes. Versus what we want or we think we need. We were talking about the little house at the head of the Peace Trail, which is now
nobody lives there anymore. Seagull Foundation owns that land.
Okay.
So that's owned by John and Bonnie. You know John and Bonnie.
Yeah.
They own the Peace Hall too, right?
Great pillars of the community.
Yes. And so I had asked them at a certain point in my life if I could clean that up and live in there, which I did for about a year before I bought this house.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you had to fix it up, did you?
Oh yeah, it was pretty rough.
Yeah.
The raccoons and the porcupines and all that kind of stuff were living in there. Yeah.
I'll go get my...
You'll get your snowshoes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
My brother Stefan lived with addiction most of his adult life. And when he died, it was due to an opioid overdose.
Oh, okay.
An accidental death.
Yeah.
So he did not want to die. He was just experimenting with... But he had been in recovery many times in his adult life. And addiction, robbed him of his life and robbed him of his ability to be an artist, which was one of the big gifts that I believe he had, was, born with and worked on in his life. But of course, addiction and mental illness robbed him of the ability to just practice it. And he had many other gifts too. He was such a loving, generous... it was hard not to love Stefan. When you were with him, you could talk about serious things, but you would always end up laughing together. And
you must miss Stefan. How long has he been gone?
Stefan died in 2013.
Okay.
So... yeah, it's been a few years, but
9.
And 9 years, I guess. We miss him, and of course, I always think he was actually doing really well in his life, and had made. I was just really proud of him, and he came to visit us in the house we live in now, and I envisioned us having more of those visits, and him being a regular visitor. He painted some of the rooms in our house when we just moved in, and I imagined him getting stronger and healthier over time, and maybe even having a healthy, loving relationship, because he'd had a few relationships in his life, but they were always kind of riddled with addiction and pain, and I felt like everyone deserves to have a reciprocal, loving, healthy relationship,
Exactly. And perhaps we can still have that be a reality in our dreams.
Yes.
And our hopes in our heart that, Stefan receives that kind of love and partakes in that kind of a decent exchange.
I feel in a lot of ways, whenever I do what I do it because of him. I'm on a mission to stay healthy and take care of myself and practice my gift. He just would have loved this. It would have really inspired him, I think nature can inspire you to stay healthy, be healthy, because you feel the benefits of it immediately, don't you?
Yeah, you really do. You get your high from, I think it's endorphins in the brain that you get from being outside and being around nature.
Well, that year that you spent living in that house right at the head of the Peace Trail, like,
Yes.
how did that impact you at the time?
Well, it was a rebound year for me. So there was an end of a relationship. So there was a melancholy and a healing.
Yeah.
But there's always a sweetness in those times too, because you get to come home to yourself.
Yeah.
And to recreate yourself. And that's where I started into my relationship with Bob.
We like Bob, don't we?
Yeah, we love Bob. Okay, so we're going to go in here. I think we should put our snowshoes on.
All right. Okay, so we just passed what we think is the site of a pileated woodpecker.
Yes.
And you've said that they're
drilling his holes.
Drilling his holes.
Yeah.
Just really destroying.
Finding food.
Finding food, right. I shouldn't say destroying.
Yeah.
He's actually just hungry.
Yeah, and maybe it even maybe it's reciprocal, right? Maybe it really helps the tree.
Mm-hmm.
To
fall apart, decompose, helps the forest.
Yeah.
It's all part of the...
Gets the bugs, we need those birds that eat the bugs.
Yeah. I want to see one of these giant woodpeckers. You said there are 3 different sizes?
Yes, the little downy and the hairy and then the pileated.
So do you consider yourself a birder?
Yes, I am a birder, and I'm also a citizen scientist.
Tell me more about what that means, Sarah.
Well, if you're a citizen scientist, then you collect information and data, and then you put it and you give it to the WWW, the big web.
Nice.
And then it's a way of collecting data. If I was to go on a hike and see certain things, I'd make counts of what I saw, and then I would go to eBird.
eBird.
Yes.
I'll check it out.
And submit it.
Oh, cool. That's great. Citizen scientist. This is part of the nature hike with Sarah Witney is learning about all the little special, intricate things in the forest that you may not realize are so important to the ecosystem. So, what are we looking at here, Sarah?
Well, this old dead tree has become a dining room table for a squirrel. And look at how they have taken apart all these cones, and they've been eating them all along here. They've been having a good old feast. I think it was a party.
It looks like a bash. Absolutely.
And they know how to stash their food, squirrels. And then they know to go back when times are tough and survive off these stashes.
Yeah, I know
Very
this.
Clever.
I know this because we have a pump organ on our porch, and that is where the squirrel stash their food. That's our fault, though, for leaving the pump organ on the front porch. What could this be?
Well, they're a type of shelf mushroom when they're growing like that. But it's a good thing. It's a healthy thing for a forest to have lots of mosses and fungi and ferns and all those different species. It shows that it's a mature forest.
Yeah.
When you've got that.
Love it. Oh, yeah. Busy squirrels.
Yeah.
I am seeing a lot of storm damage maybe here.
It is a bit of a natural occurrence. Forests go through cycles. So they cycle from the softwoods into the hardwoods. So some of the softwoods, like the balsam fir and the spruces and things, they only last a few decades, and then they reach their climax and they'll fall down. And But a fallen tree provides lots of good stuff. Bears hibernate underneath roots like that on a fallen tree.
So should we go closer or go in the opposite direction? Sarah and I have stopped on the trail because right in front of us is a beautiful squirrel that doesn't seem to mind that we're watching, staring at him eating a giant mushroom.
Yeah, it is. It's a hunk of fungus.
He's noticed us. You've got binoculars, and he's probably like, what is she doing? It was nice to witness someone in their natural habitat having a good
Chow down
on mushrooms.
Yeah. Let's go closer and see the fungus and see if we can see his little teeth mark.
Okay. There's like a million spores.
Yeah.
And it's like a little cool sponge.
And is glowing in the light. Magical. Keep all those lovely organisms in our world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mushrooms are
we
really...
are losing them.
Yeah.
With deforestation.
Yeah, and a lot of the fungal, I'm not sure what to call them, but the fungal mushroom connections are happening underground too, don't they?
Yes.
And that's an integral part of healthy forests, is it not? And that's a way that it's a form of communication.
Yes.
That we don't want to rip apart.
That's
so
right.
yeah, how can we?
Intelligence. It's an intelligence, and it's wonderful the way that plants in the woods, trees and whatnot will look after one another with those communications.
Yeah.
Say, hey, you need some of this? Here you go.
I gotta lend you the book, The Secret Life of Forests.
Secret Life of Forests.
You have some other books you recommend to our listeners?
That scientist Simard.
I bought that book for my father-in-law.
Mm-hmm. The Mother Tree.
The Mother Tree, yes. Everybody needs to buy that. I haven't read it yet, actually, because I'm waiting for Daniel to offer it to me to read. But I bought it for Daniel, my father-in-law.
And perhaps we could look at forestry in the future where, we still need to cut some wood and use trees for different things, but perhaps we could think about leaving some of those mother trees around.
The mother trees are integral when it comes to growing new trees, because forests may not survive, especially long term, if you don't have those big mother trees communicating, providing information and food. And
they also help to prevent the devastation of fires, the devastation of all these weather extremes, droughts and
mudslides. It's
so,
all
Christina, we now have to climb over this tree.
Okay, got it.
Snowshoes. So.
I also see a workaround, but I'll do that too.
Crows, they'll collect shiny objects and bits and pieces, and
they're also really smart.
They're very clever. They've even figured out how they can drop a nut at an intersection, have a car run over it, and that will crack it open enough to get the meat out. That's pretty clever. As long as they don't get run over themselves by a car, but let's hope not.
There's a crow reoccurring in my new album artwork and the single artwork that I'm collaborating on with a brilliant artist, Nicole Alain Legault. And I'm so excited to share with my patrons, but also the world, more of what she's been doing. And this crow, there's a lot of symbolism, obviously, in the songs, but then we wanted to reflect that with the artwork as well. So there was that, connecting force between the music and the visual arts as well.
Yes, the crow does help to make contact to the human world from the animal world. A swamp area, a wetland area, is full of life. It has so much to offer, and it's like the lungs of the planet. It cleans and breathes, and we need them so much. So we really ought to be thinking about protecting our wetlands.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our swamps. No more draining swamps.
Oh, it looks like we're in the Black Forest now. This is a drastic change. Hemlock. It's
And chaga is very good for helping with inflammation. It's known to help people with cancer. It's a real good health tonic.
okay.
So I've broken off some of that and made tea with it.
Nice.
Thank you for tea.
Thank you, Birch. Thank you for the hike through the Witney wilderness.
Yes, we made it through the snow in the woods. Now we're on the mud road.
Walking back towards your house.
Yep.
What did we see? We saw a lot of lichen.
Yes.
We saw some old growth forest.
Yes. We
Little
saw a variety of things, like a variety of trees, not just one type of tree, but different species of trees at different ages.
Heard some birds.
Yep. Heard some birds. I saw a squirrel.
We never saw the yellow belly sapsucker.
Peppered tree. Yeah, so we're going to keep looking along the road here, and I'll see if I can find one. But the trunk of a tree that has lines of holes where they make their holes so that the sap can be licked out by them. And often they'll make the holes and come back a little later. And sometimes that sap, Christina, it'll ferment, and that can cause the yellow-bellied sapsucker to be drunk.
Nice. That must be fun. So tell us how our listeners can find out more about the Friends of the Pugwash Estuary.
Yeah, which can be heard as FOPE.
FOPE.
Yeah, FOPE, Friends of the Pugwash Estuary.
Yep.
We love to get new members, and we like to pick some projects and do some things on the estuary. We have a property on Doherty's Creek, which has a house on it, and that's where you can park for the trails. That's where we ran into each other the last time.
A couple times. It's been great. And I'm a member. I signed up. I encourage anybody who interested in supporting the conservation of forests, even if you don't live here, but maybe you're traveling in Atlantic Canada and you want to stop by and support and visit this beautiful piece of land that you are a member of. Mm-hmm. So what's the website?
Well, you just have to go on the Friends of the Pugwash Estuary, and that will lead you to everything that you need.
Yep.
And we have monthly meetings, and we have flotillas in the summer on the water.
You do guided hikes.
Mm-hmm. And we are trying to get students sometimes hired to do all kinds of research, and we really want to have there be an environmental group in Pugwash that highlights the importance of the wilderness.
Yeah. Good luck with everything that you're passionate about. Continued strength and passion and good health to allow you to do the important work that you do in educating people like me.
And Christina,
yeah?
I've got something for you.
Surprises!
Yes. For your dreams and your passions.
Oh, fun.
So that's for Dale. That's that apple.
Oh my
Chris.
goodness, thank you so much.
And here's an eagle feather for you, Christina.
It's so beautiful.
And it's ready to hang. I got it off of the river when I was kayaking, and I've blessed it and put some special beads and things on it. And you can think of something that is important to you, a dream, or
maybe my brother Stefan.
Maybe for your brother Stefan, and you can hang it in the woods on a tree in a special place.
Aw, can I give you a hug?
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah. This is beautiful. You're beautiful. This has really been a special day.
Welcome to the Heartbeat Hotline, 1-902-669-4769. I'm the host of A Chat with Heart podcast, Christina Martin, and I'm so excited you called. Leave me your question, a suggestion for the podcast, or a comment about this episode. Please be aware your message may be used on the podcast and social media. Tell me your name, where you're calling from, and it's also fine if you want to remain anonymous. Thanks for listening. Have a great fucking day. A Chat with Heart, produced and written by me, Christina Martin, co-produced and engineered by Dale Murray. Check out Dale's website, dalemurray.ca. The podcast theme song, Talk About It, was written by me and recorded by Dale Murray. You can find it on all the places you stream music. Production plans for this podcast and Season 1 are supported by the Province of Nova Scotia's Women in Business Implementation Fund and the Creative Industries Fund. Special thanks to Terrence Taylor for mentoring me on hosting this podcast and really digging deep with me on my production plans for Season 1, which, let's be honest, Terrence, ended up being more like well-needed psychotherapy for me. To Crystal Seeberger at Sensory Friendly Solutions, thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping me learn how to be a more inclusive, accessible, and sensory-friendly human. Visit my Patreon page to become a monthly or yearly supporter of this podcast and my music endeavors. If you're new to Patreon, it's a membership platform that helps creators get paid. Sign up at patreon.com/Christina Martin. For this to be a massive success and reach 7 billion people, I need you to share, rate, leave a review, and subscribe to A Chat with Heart on all the places you listen to podcasts. Wishing you, my little heartbeats, a great day.